What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode, and in this video we're going to talk about why the mental health crisis that is currently going on globally is probably much worse than we originally thought. We're going to go through a bunch of facts and statistics, and hopefully this information can help guide you to work on your mental health, protect your mental health, and seek out treatment if you suffer from any conditions. Because the last thing you want is for any of you watching this to fall into these statistics and not get help or diagnosed properly going forward. So to begin, we're on a website. It's called mind.org.uk, and they are a mental health organisation that supports mental health in the UK. So we're going to go through some of their mental health facts and statistics, and this data is gathered from England. However, using England as our sample is a good measure to see what's actually going on, certainly in the Western world, America, Europe, etc. So if we scroll down and we look at our first title, how common are mental health problems? 1 in 4 people will experience a mental health problem of some kind each year in England. Okay. 1 in 6 people report experiencing a common mental health problem like anxiety and depression in any given week in England. Now that is really worrying, because in England we have a population of around 55 to 56 million people. So if 1 in 6 people are reporting experiencing a mental health problem, that is a large portion of the population. And even more worrying, keep this in mind, it says 1 in 6 people are reporting experiencing a mental health problem. Now, if you've met anyone or know anyone with a mental health problem, you'll know most people don't report it. Most people just get on with their life, or they cover it up because it is still kind of stigmatized. So me personally, I'd argue this figure is much higher. I'd even argue that it's probably 1 in 3, maybe even 1 in 2. Again, that's just me speculating though. That's not what the data shows, but as I say, most people don't report about their mental health problems. But anyway, moving on. If we scroll down to the specific diagnosis, in any given week in England, mixed anxiety and depression account for 8 in 100 people. General anxiety disorder, 6 in 100. PTSD, 4 in 100. Depression, 3 in 100. Phobias, 2 in 100. And OCD and panic disorders, 1 in 100 people. There's some other disorders there as well. This site also speaks about suicidal thoughts and self-harm, which is much more common than we all think. It says here, suicidal thoughts and self-harm aren't mental health diagnoses, but they are related to mental health. Very true. Over the course of someone's lifetime, 1 in 5 people have suicidal thoughts. 1 in 14 people self-harm. 1 in 15 people will attempt suicide. That is insane. 1 in 15 people out of a population of 56 million will attempt suicide. Okay, and that's only in England. So you can imagine what it's like in the US, in Europe, or any of the other countries outside of the Western world. Okay, so that's worrying. Very, very worrying. Women are more likely to have suicidal thoughts and make suicide attempts than men. But men are 3 times more likely to take their own life than women. The logic there is, when men commit suicide, they take more extreme and more drastic measures to end themselves. Whereas, women will probably go down the path of an overdose with pills and alcohol. Men will do all sorts of craziness. They'll jump off a building, jump in front of a train. I mean, you've probably read and heard all the stories. So that's why that discrepancy is there. Moving down, how many people get treatment? Very important. Reports from both England and Wales suggest that approximately 1 in 8 adults with a mental health problem are currently getting any kind of treatment. Okay, that's cool. 1 in 8 people in a population of, more than 56 million, because it's including Wales this time. Could be a lot better, because we want everyone to get treatment ideally, but 1 in 8 is it's an okay start. The most common treatment offered is psychiatric medication. Okay, so that's really bad because popping pills does not address the underlying condition. It only masks it or, dampens it for a short period of time. And what you'll find is people with mental health problems who go on medication tend to relapse much more than people who actually do, deep therapies such as CBT, talking therapies, etc. That's not to say medication's bad because, someone might be experiencing anxiety to the point where they can't even leave the house or do anything. So some medication might be needed just to get them in to therapy to address the underlying problem. The issue I have is, in the UK, doctors are very quick to prescribe you medication, and it all comes down to money. Doing proper therapies is a lot more expensive than, just giving people or prescribing people a bunch of pills. And so that is worrying. That is really worrying. And not to mention, someone might become dependent on medication. So I guess that figure isn't really as good or encouraging as we initially thought. Anyway, moving down. Are mental health problems increasing? Let's see. The amount of people with a common mental health problem went up by 20% between 1993 and 2014 in both men and women. Severe mental health symptoms in any given week rose from 7% in 1993 to over 9% in 2014. The number of young women reporting common mental health problems has been going up. Okay, that's interesting. So women are experiencing it more than men. I suspect that has something to do with social media, societal pressures, etc. Moving down, suicide and self-harm are on the rise. Let's have a look. People reporting self-harm went up by 62% between the years of 2000 and 2014. People reporting suicidal thoughts within the past year went up by 30%. Moving down, who are most affected by mental health problems? This is interesting. Anyone can get a mental health problem, but we know that some groups are more likely to get them than others. These people include people who identify as LGBTIQ+, Black British people, young women between the ages of 16 to 24, and around 40% of people in England who have overlapping problems such as homelessness, substance misuse, and contact with the criminal justice system. Okay, I mean, this all makes sense, like LGBT, Black British, these are groups that have been stigmatized in the past and are probably more reserved when it comes to expressing issues with their mental health. Young women, I'll try and pull up a study at some point to dive into why that is. As I said, I suspect it's social media. And just the way the modern world has developed. Interestingly, if we go over to this next website, this is cnbc.com, it speaks about loneliness in the United States of America. So again, a good sample for drawing conclusions and data from their investigation. So it says here, loneliness is on the rise and younger workers and social media users feel it most, a Cigna survey finds. Okay, so in the key points, 3 out of every 5 adults, or 61%, report that they sometimes or always feel lonely. Among workers 18 to 22, 73% report sometimes or always feeling alone, up from 69% a year ago, so that's going up. There is a greater feeling of loneliness among people who use social media more frequently, the study found. That's not surprising at all. I encourage all of you, if you get a moment, to check out I think it's Netflix, a Netflix documentary called The Social Dilemma, and that really goes into detail about how social media is messing up people. At work, men appear to feel much more isolated than women. Okay, that's interesting. If we scroll down and just get some bullet points, we just read this earlier. 3 of every 5 adults report that they sometimes always feel lonely. Yep. That's up 7 percentage points from 54% from a year ago. The number remains even higher for young adults. Among workers 18 to 22, known as Gen Z, 73% reported sometimes or always feeling alone, up from 69%. So yeah, just repeating the key points again. Where's the information about social media? That's what I want to... Here we go, I think. One reason why younger people may feel more isolated may be their greater tendency to use social media. The study found an increase in correlation between social media usage and feelings of loneliness. 7 out of 10 heavy social media users, 71%, reported feelings of loneliness, up from 53% a year ago. That compares to 51% of light social media users feeling lonely, up from 47%. So there definitely is a correlation between loneliness and social media. And you can see how that would link into mental health issues, maybe not a causation, but it certainly is correlated to some extent. So why am I bringing this all up? Well, I'm bringing this up because I think it's important all of you are aware of what's going on out there in regards to mental health, and so that you can take steps in advance to address any issues that you may have before it gets worse. Because going off this data, this thing is only going to get more brutal as time goes on. Now, if you want to learn some strategies, techniques, exercises, etc. to improve your mental and emotional health, then check out our channel. We've got a ton of videos on there and we'll be uploading lots of content in the coming weeks, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, if you like this video and you want to see more videos like this with data, statistics and mental health facts, then give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, and look out for our next video, which is coming very, very soon. I'll speak to you soon. All of you take care. Peace.